There are many ways that businesses can motivate their employees, and this video looks at the most common methods of financial motivation that a business can choose from. At the end of the video, there will be a featured question based on the methods discussed, and it would be great to hear your thoughts if you could answer the question in the comments section. First of all, we're going to look at remuneration. Remuneration is the money that employees receive in exchange for working for the business. However, the amount of money an employee receives is dependent on their role within the business. Typically, the more senior the role, the more money an employee receives in exchange for working for the business. For example, a customer service manager is likely to receive a greater amount of money than a customer service assistant. Remuneration can be a very effective method of motivation for employees, as money is one of the key reasons why many employees work. There are two main methods of remuneration. The first is wages, which are a variable method of pay, within which the money employees receive varies depending on how their pay is structured. The second is salary, which is when employees receive a fixed amount of money in exchange for work. First of all, let's have a look at wages. Now, as I've just mentioned, wages are a variable method of remuneration, within which the money employees receive varies depending on how their pay is structured. Some employees are paid on a time rate basis, within which they are paid based on the amount of hours they work multiplied by a set amount per hour. This is a very common method which is widely used by many businesses such as McDonald's, who pay most of their entry-level employees on a time rate basis. The advantages of the time rate method include the employer being able to accurately forecast how much the wage bill will be, which enables planning, whilst also providing employees with the security of knowing how much they will earn. However, the time rate method also has potential drawbacks for the business, as it doesn't encourage efficiency, as employees receive the same pay per hour regardless of their performance. Also, the time rate method may disgruntle workers if they are efficient and they consider their colleagues to be less efficient or effective than themselves, but they still receive the same pay. In manufacturing businesses, a piece rate method is commonly used to pay employees. Within this method, employees are motivated by the fact that they are paid based on the amount of products that they produce. Employees tend to work more efficiently under the piece rate method, as this will mean the wage they receive is higher, which increases productivity for the business, whilst the most experienced, skilled and efficient employees earn more than the less experienced, skilled and efficient colleagues. However, the piece rate method does make it more complex to forecast employee pay, as it is based on their performance, which may vary from month to month for many employees. Also, due to the incentive of being paid more for every item they produce, employees may rush, which could result in substandard goods or excessive amounts being produced. Therefore, effective quality control processes are essential when using the piece rate method of pay. In addition to the time rate and piecework methods, some businesses also offer employees overtime pay. Overtime is when a business pays employees an additional amount of money for working above their contracted hours at the request of the business. This can be a very important method of remuneration to motivate employees to work more than they are required to, especially during busy periods of trade such as Christmas for the majority of retailers. Also, if employees know overtime may be available in the near future and they want to do it to increase their wage, this can effectively motivate them to increase their efficiency and productivity within their regular working hours, so they get chosen for the overtime hours if there is competition amongst employees for this. However, if overtime is forced upon employees and they feel pressured to do it above and beyond their contracted working hours, this can actually demotivate employees and may lead to decreased productivity or even the employee leaving the business over the long term. We now move on to salaries, which are another form of remuneration for employees, but in contrast to wages, salary payments are a fixed amount of pay which employees receive in exchange for work. This is typically split into equal amounts and paid monthly or weekly depending on the business. Salaries are much more common for employees who hold senior roles within a business, such as managers and executives, or employees who are classed as working in a profession such as doctors and teachers. Salaries offer employees a guaranteed amount of pay, regardless of their performance, which provides employees with safety and comfort in their role, which often leads to more loyalty and longer service. Often, employees who are paid a salary are motivated by the incentive of a possible yearly rise in their pay should they meet or exceed their targets. However, salaries can also lead to decreased production and efficiency because the employee is guaranteed a set level of pay regardless of their performance. Also, employees who are paid a salary sometimes face pressures to work more than their contracted hours without any additional payment due to the nature of their role, which can cause conflict in the workplace and demotivate the employee, leading to a decrease in their efficiency. Also, employees who are paid a salary sometimes face pressure to work more than their contracted hours without any additional pay, due to the nature of their role, which can cause conflict in the workplace and demotivate the employee, leading to decreased efficiency. We now move on to performance-related pay, which is based on the performance of employees. And as you can see from the look on this lady's face, it can make employees very happy when they see their wage slip. Simply put, the better an employee performs, the more they are paid. For employees who are motivated by money, performance-related pay can be a very effective motivator, as they have the possibility of receiving a greater amount of pay if they perform well, especially if they outperform set targets. Therefore, the most experienced, skilled and efficient employees tend to earn more than the less experienced, skilled and efficient co-workers, but the performance levels of all employees tend to increase through performance-related pay. There are two common methods of performance-related pay. These are bonus and commission. A bonus is an additional payment made to employees on top of their standard pay, typically as a reward for their productivity and performance, or to share some of the business's profit to show recognition and reward to employees that have contributed to the overall performance of the business. It is a very common method of financial motivation and is used in a wide range of industries, including manufacturing and retail, where, for example, bonus could be calculated on the productivity of individual employees and is paid to employees who meet or exceed their production targets. Alternatively, bonus may also be paid to all employees within a business based on their collective contribution. A good example of this is Greggs, where employees each received a one-off bonus of up to £300 in 2020 following a successful year for the business, within which 25,000 employees received their share of £7 million due to a 13.5% increase in sales in 2019. Whether bonus is based on either a team or an individual's performance, it can be a very effective motivator which provides employees with clear targets and the financial incentive of additional pay if they achieve or exceed them, alongside a sense of being valued by the business. If a bonus is based on a team's performance, it can also have the added benefit of increased teamwork and employee collaboration as they are working together towards a collective goal which can increase productivity, efficiency and morale of an entire department. Alternatively, if bonus is calculated and paid based on individual performance, it can be a very effective motivator for every employee as they feel that they get rewarded for their personal contribution, which helps the business to retain and increase the performance of the most experienced and skilled employees. However, once a bonus system is in place, it can become an expectation, and it is often hard to remove or reduce a bonus system, as this is likely to frustrate employees who may then become demotivated and their performance may suffer as a result. Also, it is very important that the business considers the financial implications of introducing a bonus system, as it can be very costly and reduces the overall profitability of the business. So they need to ensure that the additional benefits such as increased productivity outweigh the increased costs. Another form of performance-related pay is commission, which is an additional payment employees receive on top of their wage, commonly associated with employees who sell products and services. It's typically calculated as a percentage of a sale or the profit within a sale. Alternatively, it may be a fixed amount per sale. For example, a car salesperson could sell a car for £10,000. This may make the business £1,000 of profit, and the car salesperson receives 5% commission based on the profit that they make in every sale. Therefore, in this scenario, the salesperson would receive £50 in commission on top of their normal wage. Commission tends to be a very effective motivator, as employees know the more items that they sell, the more profit that they make for the business, the more money that they receive in their wage packet. Therefore, employees strive to make each sale as profitable as possible due to this incentive. In a similar fashion to many other forms of financial motivators, it typically benefits the most experienced, skilled and efficient employees, as they tend to outperform and earn more than less experienced, skilled and efficient co-workers. However, using commission to motivate employees can also create a poor workplace culture, one which could be described as dog eat dog, within which employees are highly competitive with each other and don't work towards a collective goal, which can cause conflict and demotivate employees over the long term. Whilst at the same time, commission has the potential to negatively impact the customer experience, as a salesperson may think more about the potential profit than the needs of the customer. The next method of financial motivation that we're going to look at is employee promotion. A promotion is when an employee progresses through the hierarchy within a business into a new role with additional responsibilities and increased pay on the back of their performance in the workplace. When employees get promoted, it often makes them feel valued and vastly increases their motivation to demonstrate their capabilities in the new role, whilst at the same time increasing their loyalty to the business. Also, by promoting existing employees within the business, costs will be reduced in comparison to the fees associated with external recruitment. However, promotion isn't just an effective motivator for newly promoted employees. If employees are interested in career progression, the opportunity for promotion itself often makes them feel more motivated and committed in their current role, which leads to increased productivity and efficiency as they aim to impress their managers to increase their chances of getting promoted when the opportunity arises. A drawback of using promotion as a method of motivating employees is that it could lead to friction between employees as they compete for the same promotion opportunity. Even once a successful employee has been chosen, it may be demoralising for the remaining employees who weren't successful, which could lead to them becoming demotivated and their performance could suffer as a result, or they may even leave the business. The final method of financial motivation we're going to look at is fringe benefits. Many businesses use fringe benefits as a form of financial motivation, and they are seen as additional employment perks awarded to employees, which are often ways of saving employees money rather than providing them with additional pay. The fringe benefits offered to employees vary vastly from business to business. However, some are more commonly used than others. Let's take a look at 6 of the most commonly used fringe benefits. Profit sharing schemes reward employees for their contribution to the business's overall profitability. A well-known example of a profit sharing scheme is John Lewis, which rewards its employees with a percentage of their overall profitability each year. This can be a very effective motivator for employees, and they typically become much more focused on how they personally impact the business's profitability, as it impacts the amount that they personally get paid each year, which in turn encourages employees to become more knowledgeable in their role and committed to the business and its customers to ensure they positively impact the bottom line. However, profit sharing schemes can be very costly and they aren't as common as they once were, slowly being replaced by share schemes where employees have the choice to purchase shares in the business, typically at a reduced rate through monthly wage deductions if they wish to do so. This approach still motivates employees in the same way as a profit sharing scheme, as they are still personally benefiting when the business does well, but it also reduces the costs associated as employees have to purchase the shares themselves. Another type of fringe benefit is a workplace pension scheme, and in October 2012, the government emphasised the importance of this type of fringe benefit by announcing an automatic enrolment pension scheme for all employees within UK businesses. Now that a workplace pension scheme is a legal requirement and businesses are required by law to contribute at least 3% from April 2019, many businesses now need to offer and invest heavily into a pension scheme which is better than the minimum requirements if they want to attract the top talent. However, a competitive pension scheme can effectively motivate employees whilst increasing loyalty and morale across the workforce, as employees tend to feel valued by the business. Offering employees private healthcare or health insurance allows them to have medical treatment in private hospitals and facilities. It has many similar benefits to offering a company pension scheme, in the sense that employees will feel valued by the business, which in turn increases their loyalty, morale and motivation in the workplace. Alongside these factors, it helps the business to reduce the amount of employee absences, as it increases the chances of them having a healthier workforce who can receive treatment quicker than they would if they were going through the NHS in most cases. Put simply, providing employees with additional support with their physical and mental health is costly. However, it should be looked at as an investment, as it typically leads to improved productivity by a happier and healthier workforce. Some businesses choose to offer their employees free or discounted meals whilst at work. A famous example of this is McDonald's, who offer employees a free meal whilst on shift, and it is more common for businesses which operate in the hospitality industry, but it is also used in other industries where staff get a free or subsidised meal in the canteen. If employees don't eat, it is likely to negatively impact their performance and levels of motivation, which links to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. By offering food to employees, the business is able to ensure some of their employees' psychological needs are met to ensure they are able to perform in the workplace. Another fringe benefit is additional sick and holiday pay, which have similar effects on employees as a pension scheme and private healthcare insurance would, due to the psychological effects of feeling looked after and cared for by the employer. Whilst paying employees additional sick and holiday pay above the legal requirement can increase the cost substantially for the business, it can lead to a more motivated and happy workforce, as it provides employees with time to relax whilst on annual leave, so they return refreshed and refocused. Alternatively, employees who are sick don't come back to work before they fully recover, which is much more likely to happen when they are faced with the pressure of running out of sick pay. For example, if employees only receive statutory sick pay, they may return before they are fully recovered, which can lead to low levels of motivation and poor performance, whilst potentially spreading the sickness across the workforce if it's related to a virus, etc., which would then further impact the business. The final fringe benefit we are going to look at is staff discount, which some may argue does not directly increase levels of motivation. However, offering employees discount on the businesses or affiliated businesses' products and services can make employees feel valued, which in turn naturally increases motivation and commitment to the business, which in turn could be one of the key reasons why they stay loyal to the business over the long term. So there you have it, the most common methods of financial motivation which businesses use. Now you've watched the video, why not have a go at our featured question by commenting below. The question is, which method of financial motivation would be the most effective method to motivate you personally? And which method would you choose to motivate your employees if you owned a business? We've also got a free activity worksheet if you'd like to test your knowledge of financial motivators even further. Just click the link to our website in the video description. And if you found the video useful, remember to hit the like button and subscribe for lots more business studies videos. Thanks for listening and all the best.